Hello, good evening. I'm Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Goodine, pastor of Church on Wheels Spoken Word out of Deltona, Florida. And this is another edition of Bible Study 2024. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for coming tonight. Those that are on their way, we ask that you give that the Lord give them traveling mercies. Like us on YouTube at Pastor Jeffrey Goodine. Subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. They say if you get so many likes, they do something. I don't know, whatever it is that they do. They say you're supposed to get likes. And so I'm saying like us on YouTube at Pastor Jeffrey Goodine. Subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. You'll be notified every time we have a new video that's uploaded. And we upload on the Sunday service, we upload our morning prayer, and we upload Bible study. So Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Those are videos that get uploaded, and then you'll be notified. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on our Facebook group page, Church on Wheels, Let the Good News Roll. That is our Facebook group page. You can follow us there. You can follow us live, Jeffrey Goodine on Facebook Live, Jeffrey Goodine. You follow us on Twitter, which is now X, at Goodine Jeffrey, Instagram, Goodine Jeffrey, and Clubhouse, Church on Wheels Ministry. We are continuing our names, the power of God's names. So far we have done, his names, the majesty of his names. We've done Elohim, which is the strong creator. We've done Jehovah, which is the relational God. And tonight we are doing Adonai. Adonai. A-D-O-N-A-I. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse. Send me an email at pastorjeffreygoodine@gmail.com. It's pastorjeffreygoodine@gmail.com. I'll add you to the list and you will get a copy of the handout so that you could tune in, invite a friend, have a watch party. You could follow along with us in Bible study. Tonight, Adonai. This is the God who rules. Now, and I put in the handout, I put 3 asterisks beside it. When we surrender to Him as Lord and owner of our lives, He takes the raw material of our human existence and sprinkles His power on us, suffuses us, His grace, suffuses His grace over us and infuses His Spirit into us. So we talk about Adonai, the God who rules. Now that is the relationship and the wording of the God who rules. Now when we talk about the God who rules, we talk about Adonai. And we're going to go through a couple of instances of Adonai in the Bible that you could understand so that we get a better understanding of it. Lord and Master. He is Lord and Master. Now, Adonai is a plural word and is found over 400 times in the Bible. Adonai, in its context. Now, there are other usages of the word Lord and Master and things, but they may not have the connotation of Adonai. So over 400 times in the Bible, in the singular tense, it is Adon, which is translated master or ruler. Master or ruler. Now when we talk about Adonai, it is associated with the master who owns slaves, but also conveys a responsibility for the care and well-being of servants. So even though he owns it all, it is the responsibility of the master for the care and the well-being of the saints. Now, when we talk about in terms of a master with slave owners, a master with slaves, he has to take care of them if he wants the work to get done. So his responsibility is to take care of them. The same as a ruler. He must take care of his servants. He must take care of things. So it does not always have to connotate from the sense of the word in the master and the slave relationship, but it's more than, it has to be more than caring and the well-being of the servants and looking out for them. So when we put God in that context, as Adonai, he is the God who rules. Even though he's our ruler, he is protecting us and taking care of us so that, again, we can actually spread his word. Now, in Psalm 97 and 5, it says, the hills melted like wax at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. He is the ruler of the whole earth, or the whole universe. Well, you know, I mean, they say that there's, you know, there are other galaxies. I've never been out there. You know, whatever they say on television or whatever books you read or whatever they say that there's, you know, millions of galaxies and things out there. He created all of that. He controls all of it. So he is the ruler. And inside of that, of this universe, we find earth. And he's taking care of the earth. He has responsibility to take care of the people. Think about what all that we have here. Think about all the things that grow on this earth out of the soil. It is to take care of the animals. Now look, just because you don't eat it, that don't mean that somebody else don't eat it. And some things that we don't eat, in essence, it's because we didn't grow up with it. You go to some of these foreign countries, you'll be surprised at what they'll eat. You in the United States, you'd be surprised at some things would eat, but everything's growing for some, so he's taking care of his creation. He's the ruler. He takes care of his creation. So that is the instance of Adonai. Now, if we want to, if you want to, say for instance, you want to classify the position that you're in. Well, the position that we're in is that we are the creation. And he is the ruler. So, and think about him taking care of us. Now, you know he's taking care of you. You know that. You don't have to tell me. I know he has. Just like he's taking care of me. At times. You just don't want to tell nobody. You don't want to tell your friends. I understand. Because a lot of times when Jesus took care of people, he told them, don't go tell anybody I did this. And you know what? They went and did it anyway. They couldn't hold it in. So what I'm saying is, no matter what instance you look at it, God is the God. He is the ruler. He is the one who rules. So he's ruling not as a tyrant, but as a friend. He calls us friend. He takes care of us. And that's what thing. Now he owns it all. In Psalm 50 and 10, it says, for every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. So the cattle upon 1,000 hills all belongs to him. So if this all belongs to him, then he is the owner of all of this, and he is the master or the ruler of all of this, then he takes care of us. That's what he does. He takes care of us. And that's his, I mean, not responsibility per se, but in order for us to spread his word, he takes care of us. He makes it available for us to take care. So, he takes care of us. Sometimes, he protects us from ourselves because we just, for sometimes we just don't do things right. The next topic I put is the biblical concept of ownership. Now, this is from a biblical perspective, not necessarily from our human perspective, because when we talk about ownership, let's say we own other people and things, then we tend to kind of treat them, bad. But, think about it for a moment. You have to treat, if you want the people to, I guess, live under your rule, you have to treat them. You have to take care of them. Or you won't have anybody to rule. You got to take care of them. But it is the biblical concept of ownership. And I put ownership has much to do with responsibility than with dominion. Responsibility, you are the owner, you own it, so now what? How they say now, as they say, be careful what you ask for, you just might get it. Now you got it, you own it, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So, ownership has much to do with responsibility than with dominion. Not to say that dominion doesn't have a place, but the dominion is the respect or the acceptance of him being the ruler. See, he has dominion. See, when God gave man, Adam, to the dominion over the animals and things, we are supposed to be the top of the food chain per se. I mean, all of the plants and the animals, we have dominion over them. But, it just says that man has dominion. So, but God is the ruler. God, in his role of Adonai, fulfills all the responsibilities of ownership. He provides, protects, guards, leads, cares for, and I'll put to list a few. I mean, we could go on and on and on. I tell you what, take your life, and then you look in the list and see how him owning this world and him being the master and the ruler, look at how he provides for you when you can't provide for yourself. He protects you when you can't protect yourself. He guards you. He leads you where you need to go. He cares for you. So he's done those things in the life. So we're talking Adonai, the God who rules. But as a ruler or a master or owner of all of this, of everything, then there are things that he does. There are things that he does for us. He cares for us, protects us, guards us. Those things. This is him in as an owner, as the ruler, as the provider, protector, guards our life. That's who he is. That's who he is. Now, if you want to take a look at it, and the instances in the Bible. The first usage of the name Adonai occurs in the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 15, verses 1 and 2. And this is the first, they say that the first instance that where we begin to see Adonai referenced as the ruler. In Genesis 15 and 1, this is the covenant that he made with Abram. It says, after these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus? Now, if we know Abram, the story of Abram, he was a pagan. He was a pagan. And God went to him, and God said, the vision came to him, and that he said he was going to make his descendants more than the stars in the sky. But now he approaches God. Now if you read this in the Bible, you will see that the word Lord, the first instance, if we say, and these things, the word of the Lord, and this Lord, L-O-R-D, is all caps. That means that is Yahweh, Jehovah. He's revealing himself. He's revealing himself. So this is Jehovah, the revealing God, revealing himself to Abram in a vision. So you see Lord is all caps. Now Abram, when Abram answers, he says, Lord, this one, only the L is capitalized. In this instance, only the L is capitalized. That means Adonai. That he said, and Lord God, what wilt thou give me? So he's talking to him as the ruler, as the owner, as the master. What will you give me? Seeing you saying that I'm going to have all of these descendants, but I'm childless right now. So how can that be? And you telling me that I'm going to have heirs, but the only heir I see is Eliezer of Damascus, the servant of my house. And when you go down to verse 4, you will see, and behold, the word of the Lord, again, all caps. That is Jehovah revealing himself. And he's talking to him. And when you see the Lord in the Bible with all caps, that is Jehovah, the revealing God. But when you see only the L capitalized, that is Adonai. So that is the story of Abram. Now when we see the story of Abram, we know that Abram, he submitted as the promise that was made to him, Abram. See, Abram was the one that when God told him, said, okay, head east or whatever. And Abram said, well, where am I going? God said, I'll tell you when you get there. He submitted to God. He accepted him as Adonai. That God will protect him. That God is the ruler. He's the master. So, I put here submission to God, and when we talk about the story of Abram, submission to God as absolute ruler and master. Adonai can affect the timing of his promises in your life. Now that was a promise that he made to Abram. It was a promise. He said that your descendants. That I'm going to send you to a land and your descendants are going to be more than the stars in the sky. So, but for Abram to actually listen and to actually leave his family behind, leave all of his kindred and everything in his land and leave, that means he surrendered to God. He accepted God as the master and the ruler. And I put Abram's submission open a path for him to hear more. There was more to it. And when you go down in 15, you'll see that what he said to him, that all of the people. And one thing about Abram, he said that, in Abram, that he believed. And when he believed in God, he counted it to him for righteousness. That his believing and accepting God as Adonai, the master and ruler, that he would do whatever it is he said that he would do. Submission is a powerful tool in our relationships with the all-powerful Adonai God. God is not going to disclose more of himself as Jehovah, which is the revealing himself and his ways to you, if you are unwilling to confess more of him as Adonai. Now, unless you confess God as Adonai, your experience of his self-revealing as Jehovah will be limited. Surely you can accept him as Jehovah, as the revealing God, but then you don't have that relationship with him, accepting him in a submission and submitting that he is master and ruler. When you submit that he's master and ruler, then he can reveal things to you. But until you do that, then you will just see him as revealing God. But we want him as Adonai. This is the other name for him, Adonai, the God who rules, when we accept him as his rule. When Abram surrendered to God as Adonai, he received the promise of a child, he had an intimate covenant, and he changed his name to Abraham, who is the father of nations. That's how Abraham got his name. Abram was a pagan. God came to him in a vision. And he accepted God as master and ruler. So when God told him to do something, he did it. Now, think of it this way. What if God told you, leave it all and head east? Just leave it all and head east. And you say, well, Lord, where am I going? I'll tell you when you get there. How many of us would do that? How many of us would do that? But we say, when he say move, you move. When God say move, you move. He is the master. He's the controller. He is the Lord. He is the all revealing. But he's also the master and ruler. He's master and ruler. And this is to show that Abram, and when we look in Genesis 54 and 5, it says, and behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said to him, so shall thy seed be. Now, here is telling this man that the heir that you think you got is not it. But you got to remember now, Abraham was very old, way past childbearing age or whatever you want to call it. He was very old. But God said and made a promise to him that you will have a child. You will have a child. And he even went to his wife and told her to, and both of them laughed. He couldn't believe it. But then it surely happened. And then when we look at verse 6, he said, and he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it. That means he's sending him to this promised land. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? How would I know? How would I know? And God gave him a sign. When you read, you'll see. You'll see. But here, Abram accepted God, viewed him as not only Jehovah, the revealing God, but also Adonai, as the ruler and master for him to submit. And he submitted. Now, when we talk about submit, I know we put bad connotations on the word submit, and we're not going to submit to anybody, but I'm going to tell you something right now. There will come a time when every knee is going to bow and every tongue is going to confess. Now, if you don't call that submission, you can call it whatever you want. You can slice that cake as thin as you want. But every knee going to bow. And every tongue is going to confess. Now, if you don't want to call that submission, you can call it whatever you want. But at some point, you're going to have to submit. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Because when you submit to him as the ruler, then he can open up more things for you in your life. And look what he did to Abram. When Abram surrendered to God as master and Lord, master and ruler of it all, look at what happened to him. He is the father of nations. In fact, a lot of the religions today track back to Abraham. They track back to Abraham. So he is the father of nations. But it tracks back to Abraham, the descendants. Back to Abraham. Abraham had, the two sons. One Ishmael by Hannah, the Egyptian maid, and then Isaac. And there are people today that trace their ancestry back to either Ishmael or Isaac. They travel, they do their linkage. So Abram submitted to God and accepted God as Adonai, which is the ruler and the master of it all. The next topic I put in is Moses' mumbling mouth. Now, I want to tell you something before we go. You know what? A lot of us, so-called Christians, we want a God in heaven. but we don't want one on earth. We want one in heaven so that he can, I want to get to heaven. I want you to get me to heaven. But I don't want you to rule what I do on earth. Now, that don't make no sense. Now, you want a God that can get you to heaven, but you don't want a God with you on earth. Because to God to be with you on earth, you must surrender and accept him as master and ruler. You said, well, I don't want to accept him as master and ruler. Because I do this and I do that, and I'm imperfect, and and all of this, and all of that. Any kind of excuse. You want to think of excuses? Look at Moses when God told Moses to go to Pharaoh. Tell him to let my people go. Look at the excuses. The excuses that we have is we want to accept him as a God in heaven, but we don't want to accept him as the God who rules and owns everything in the earth, where I live. But guess what? Unless we confess God as Adonai, then our relationship with him revealing stuff to us, is limited. We have to accept him as master. We have to accept him as the ruler. We have to. If we don't, then guess what? And guess what? When Abram surrendered to God as Adonai, when he accepted God as Adonai, when he made the connection to God as Adonai, not only Jehovah revealing God, but Adonai, the God that rules, the master, his life changed. He got a new name and a new attitude, as they say. But we have to accept him as that. We have to accept him as that. Now, Exodus, we're talking about Moses mumbling mouth, and we know about Moses and what it is. In Exodus chapter 4, verses 10 to 13, said that Moses said to the Lord, and this is Jehovah, please, Lord, this is Adonai, I have never been eloquent, neither recently nor in time past, nor since you have spoken to your servant. For I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And then the Lord, and this one is all caps, revealing himself to him who has made man's mouth. This is God revealing himself to Moses. Who has made man's mouth, or makes him mute or deaf, or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord, that's Jehovah, revealing himself, talking to Moses? Say, wait a minute. Before you start going off the deep end here, let me remind you of who I am. And so he's revealing himself to Moses and what all he could do. He said, now then go, and even I, will be with your mouth and teach you what you are to say. But now Moses answers God, please, Lord. If you see that L is the only thing that's capitalized. Adonai. Now he's accepting him. He's talking to God as the master, as the ruler. He says, now send the message by whomever you will. So now he said that God, you're in control. You're the master. You're the ruler. You send the message by whomever you will. You're the master. You're the ruler. I've told you my perspective and how I'm slow of tongue and all of this and any kind of excuse I can come up with. And then God revealed himself. And he's revealing himself to Moses, telling Moses, I did this. I can do this. Who made this? That's who I am. I made man's mouth. I'm the one that can make man mute or deaf. I'm the one that can do that. I can make him see and I can make him blind. I did that. That's revealing to Moses. But then, once he revealed himself to Moses in Jehovah God revealing himself to Moses, then Moses responds to him. He addresses him as Adonai, which is the master and the ruler. And Adonai, he says, now send a message by whomever you will. It's your will. You are the master. You are the ruler. And think about what happened. When Moses confessed God as Adonai, God empowered him to lead the entire nation from slavery. But he could only do it when Moses accepted him as Adonai. Moses listened to him revealing now. Because he's saying, Lord, I'm slow of tongue, and all the kind of excuses we come up with. When God tells us to do something, all the kind of excuses we can come up with.
My axe needs sharpening.
Yeah, my knife needs sharpening. My fingernails is dirty, my toes is dead. I ain't got a chance. And we come up with all kind of excuses. But when we accept him as Adonai, as the master and the ruler, and what Moses did, Moses said, Lord, now he's talking to him as Adonai. Now send the message by whomever you will. You're the master. You're the ruler. Send the message by whomever you will. And guess who he sent the message by? Moses. And do you know that Moses talked? God said, you know what? I'll send your brother Aaron with you to talk. But when Moses got there, Aaron didn't talk. We get that God strength. That's what I call it. That God strength. That he could stand before the enemy and not be afraid. For Moses to go back to see Pharaoh, he had to have God on his side. He ran for 40 years. But God said, I need you to go do something. And as Jehovah, when God was revealing himself to Moses, Moses came up with all kinds of excuses. But then, when Moses surrendered and accepted God as Adonai, as master, as ruler, he said, okay, send it by whoever you want to send it by. And he sent it by Moses. So we see what happens when Moses accepted and recognized him as Adonai. Then his life changed. Moses' life changed. When we accept him as Adonai, as master and ruler, seriously, when we accept him, do you know our life changes? Our life gonna change. It's gonna change. It's because you accepting him as master, even though he's revealing himself to you. But you've got to accept him as Adonai. When we accept him as Adonai. Now, it was something here that really caught my attention in the book. He says, Moses knew that even when people aren't able to fulfill the calling on their lives, if they will recognize him as Adonai, he can make them fully capable. God doesn't always call the equipped, but he always equips the called. See, just because you can do the job, that don't mean he wants you to do it. Okay? Just because you can do it, that don't mean that he called you. Because when he called you, He'll give you everything you need to do to get the job done. But you say, well, I don't have that capability. He said, I ain't asked you if you had the capability. I just asked you to listen to what I tell you to do. And the capabilities. So, God don't always call the equipped. You might be equipped to do the job, but he didn't call you to do it. The person that he called, he equips them to do what it is that he wants them to do. So see, there's a difference. There's a difference. You might be able to do it. You might be equipped to do it. Might be qualified to do it. But God didn't call you to do it. He didn't call you to do it. And the ones he called, he equips them to do what it is that he wants them to do. So you see what Moses did. And if you notice that, once he reveals himself, this one's free. You ain't got to pay for this. If you know and accept him as Elohim, as the creator, and then you accept him as Jehovah, the revealing God, why not accept him as Adonai? Why? It's because if you accept him as Adonai, then that means you got to listen to what he said and do what he tell you to do. And you don't want to do that because you say that interferes with what it is that I want to do. Well, at some point, you'll surrender. So I say do it now and avoid the rush. Accept him now and watch your life change. I tell you what. Accept him right now. Right now, right where you are. Accept him as Adonai and watch your life change. Accept him as Adonai and watch your life change. And again, I say Moses, when Moses accepted the Lord as Adonai, he knew that was the final say. Because Moses said, you got the final say now. You send the message by whomever you want, or whatever's your will. Whatever's in your will, you send that messenger. You send the message by that messenger. And it just so happened to be Moses. And Moses confessed God as Adonai. He confessed him as Adonai. And when he confessed him as Adonai, then we see what happened to Moses. The next one I put in here is Gideon's paltry pedigree. Now, if you know the story of Gideon in the Bible, Judges chapter 6, and verses 1 through 16, in essence. And I'm just kind of, put this in kind of a, in a nutshell. The people in the book of Judges, the people did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them in the hand of the Midianites for 7 years. 7 years. 7 years that they were delivered into the hand. And they said, and the Bible says, and the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in mountains and caves and strongholds, which was the Midians made them live in caves. And then they cried to the Lord, they cried to him. They cried to God, they cried to the Lord. Here again, the Lord is in all caps. So they called on to him. And then it said in verse 8, the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, who said to them, thus saith Lord God of Israel, revealing himself. I brought you up from Egypt and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, drave them out from before you. And he says, I am the Lord your God. Revealing himself. Revealing himself. Revealing himself. Now, here we come to Gideon. Now we come to Gideon. And Gideon was working, threshing wheat to hide it from the Midianites, for the people come get it. And the Lord appeared unto him. The Lord, he said, the Lord is with thee. Again, the Lord is all caps. Revealing himself to Gideon. And he's telling him, did not the Lord bring you up out of Egypt? The Lord looked upon him and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And here's another instance where he accepted God as Jehovah, as revealing God, but he had excuses when God said, I want you to go do something. He had some trouble accepting the Lord as the master, as the ruler. When God said, go forth and save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. And here is his excuse. And that's verse 15. And he said unto him, O my Lord, now Lord, this is only the eldest capital. So now he's talking to him as master and as ruler. Adonai. And he said to him, O my Lord, O Adonai, wherewith shall I save Israel? He's talking to him as master. Behold, my family